For over a decade, neighbors to the Calva West horse rendering plant in the South Cascades have petitioned and protested against the running of the facility due to the smell, constant screams of horses, and the destruction and backup of the water treatment plant due to the overflow of waste of horses' blood. Finally, on July 21, 1997, Jonathan Paul and four others worked together to destroy the plant with a firebomb. Paul and the four others mixed the fuel and planted the device in the plant, and once they set it off, they retreated in a getaway van provided by one of the accomplices. That's only one attack amongst others of a long history of animal liberation fronts acts. Animal/Earth liberation dates back thousands of years, but it most formally started back in 1964. The animal liberation movement started in England by John Prestige, who was opposed to blood sports. Blood sports are sports that involve bloodshed, such as hunting. John wanted to directly oppose this problem, in which the Hunt Saboteurs Association began. The new form of actively campaigning drew more people to join the association. The group went national, and soon all over England people were in the fields trying to prevent the killings of wildlife. The spreading of the movement started the development of different ideas and groups. Soon a group had arisen, and they named themselves the Band of Mercy, based off of a group of youth RSPCA supporters called the Bands of Mercy that had extremist views, which is where the Band of Mercy's idea of stopping the suffering of animals before it could even start came from. They thought it would be more effective if they could prevent the action of the intent to harm animals in the first place. So they began sabotaging hunting vehicles, hunters' guns, and so on to prevent the physiological suffering of the chase altogether. The band was very successful and decided to expand and further develop their view, and became much more daring. With the knowledge of the construction of a research laboratory, two of the band's activists began visiting the vivisection lab site. They studied the site for days, plotting the best way to prevent the suffering of animals in the lab soon to be built. Thus, the act of arson became a famous tactic of ALF. Arson became a famous tactic because even though the building could be rebuilt, it would cost money, which is less money to go to torturing the animals. Soon, letter bombs became a famous tactic of ALF as well. In August 1974, a big boom of the animal rights movement began due to the arrest of Ronnie Lee and Cliff Goldman. These two men were activists in the Band of Mercy group, and they targeted Oxford Animal Lab in Bicester. The first attack they planned went successfully, but when they returned a second time, 2 days late, to raid the facility, security had been amped up, and they were caught. But they arrested the opposite of ending the Band of Mercy. The publicity only allowed a huge flow of newcomers to join the group. More and more people were also inspired by Ronnie Lee, who went on a hunger strike in prison for the lack of vegetarian options. Though Lee was trying hard to get the idea of animal liberation out through his newly found fame due to the imprisonment of Lee and Goodman, the Band of Mercy started to wither. So once out of prison, Lee did the opposite of Goodman and decided to rebuild the Band of Mercy. You see, because Lee, whilst in prison, became more extreme, while Goodman, too scared to go back, decided to take a more peaceful route to animal liberation. Now, under new revolutionary rule by Ronnie Lee, the Band of Mercy became what we now know as ALF. ALF soon began to work closely with ARM, the Animal Rights Militia. In the 1980s, the ARM became a big part of ALF. They were the main supporters of the direct action movement. The ARM were the main executors of making and sending out letter bombs, the main tactic used by the newly found ALF. These letter bombs were sent out to individuals involved in vivisection labs and animal testing laboratories. They also set fire to clothing stores that used or were known to use farting as products.